Yo, what's going on everyone? It's me, Mr Premps, and today I bring you One Piece. And by One Piece, I mean my One Piece manga chapter 1003 predictions. Now, prediction videos are not necessarily something I'd normally do because more times than not, we have absolutely no idea where Oda is going to go with the story. But I absolutely love the fast-paced, intricate action that we got in One Piece 1002, so I thought what better than to do a short prediction video as to what we could potentially get in the upcoming chapter. Now before I get started, of course we have the usual formalities, so make sure you leave a like on the video as it helps me out so much with that YouTube algorithm, and if you're returning to the channel or even here for the first time, make sure you subscribe so you never miss out when I drop more content just like this. And lastly, if you like One Piece and talking about it with others just like yourself, make sure you check out the Void Century Club forum, in which I will leave a link to in the description to this video. And now the formalities are out of the way, let's get into this prediction video. So to predict what's to come in the next chapter is a bit of a tough one, because we're currently experiencing something we haven't had in a long time, and that's Oda staying in the midst of the main battle. Since One Piece manga chapter 1000, where Luffy, Kid, Law, Zoro and Killer were shown to reach the top of the rooftop of Onigashima, Oda has not strayed away from the action, which to me is a bit unusual, because I feel like we've been so used to seeing Oda change the focus of the chapter and off-screening something so important and then drip feeding us these little nuggets of information, causing us to fill in the blanks ourselves. For example, in chapter 1002, we got Big Mom's use of God Lightning Tenjin, which basically wiped out everyone bar Luffy, and this was fantastic. But typically, I feel as if we would have strayed away from the action before rejoining the battle and seeing the devastation that she's actually caused. Now the chapter actually ended with Luffy tanking Kaido's blast breath, and then Luffy hitting Kaido with a Kong Gatling, and most likely he's using his advanced Ryo, which is something people doubt, but trust me, he's using it. So with the chapter ending in such fashion, there's only two possibilities as to what I expect in the upcoming chapter. And these are to either remain on the rooftop and the battle continues with new forms and more action, or we pan away from the action and see what everyone else is doing. And my personal prediction is the latter of the two, but I'll cover that off shortly. Because if we do stay on the rooftop, things are going to get extremely interesting. The first few chapters post 1000 have been used to almost hype up the Supernova. They've all been getting their attacks out and causing some sort of damage to Kaido, with Kaido acknowledging them and giving them their accolades, which has been actually really good to see. But I don't think for one second we've even worried that Kaido's on the verge of defeat, and things still feel like they're in that testing mode. You know, kind of like boxers and how sometimes they use the first few rounds to test their opponent out. Big Mom, however, has been amazing, and truly I have loved everything we got from her last chapter, including her telling Kaido that he underestimated these guys and then shouting at him to dodge as Zoro released a devastating attack with Enma. And that's why if we stay on the rooftop in the next chapter, I can see Kaido getting a little bit more serious and really testing the Supernova. I mean, all we've really seen from him so far is him using that blast breath attack, so I can imagine that we start to see a bit more. Could we potentially see his hybrid form? That is something I really want to see, but I feel like Oda may be saving that for a little later in the story in order to show us how truly overwhelming Kaido can be. But honestly, if we do get to see it, I will be so hype. Now if we don't stay on the rooftop, there's a lot of plot points that Oda is still to cover. I've gone back and I've read like the last 10 chapters, and for me Oda has to go back and show us what some of the other Straw Hats are doing, and in particular a character that causes huge divide amongst us fans, and a personal favourite of my own, and it's Sanji. Sanji hasn't been in the story since chapter 998, in which, if you factor in the breaks, has been over a month since we last seen him. So I definitely expect to see what's happening with him and Black Maria. I think 99.9% of us know that Sanji is not going to be fighting Black Maria. just simply down to the fact that we know he doesn't hit women. I feel as if there's a lot still to be explained with Black Maria, and if we do get a fight, I can see this being Robin's battle, in which some expect her to have some sort of backup from Brooke. But just another thought as I mentioned that, something that's kind of crossed my mind, and it's finding a bit more about CP0. Because since the introduction of Black Maria, a lot of us have had those CP0 vibes, similar to Stussy and Whole Cake, and so it'd be really interesting if we did find out that she was actually an undercover member of CP0. Next, I think Oda may go to Jinbei and Who's Who, which I think that we definitely need to have a look at, because it feels like Who's Who has definitely got some sort of historic connection to Jinbei. He recognises him, for goodness sake. It would be so great if we panned to Jinbei and he was continuing his dialogue with Who's Who, and we found out a bit more about him. Now, I'm not going to lie, I always thought that Who's Who wasn't actually going to be an enemy, and a bit of me still feels that way. I think he has an ulterior motive, which would avoid any battle between him and Jinbei. So let's wait and see, and hopefully we get some sort of expansion on that. The last things I kind of want to touch on, even though I don't expect it to be upcoming in chapter 1003, is the encounter of Marco with King and Queen. It would be really interesting to see how that battle is going down, particularly when we have such key figures, or should I say key commanders, removed from the main battle. I mean, how strong is King? And how strong is Marco? I mean, how strong is Marco that he may be able to neutralize both King and Queen? But knowing Oda, he's probably going to off-screen this, so it's pointless to dwell on. We also have the likes of Perospero, who's with Carrot and Wanda. I wonder what's going to happen there, and whether they get into a fight too. We know Carrot wants to seek revenge on Perospero, blaming him for Pedro's death. But once again, I can see this being something that Oda will off-screen, so we'll probably find out the fallout of that at a later point. But just talking about Perospero reminds me that the Big Mom Pirates came to 102, but I'm actually unsure as to whether they actually made it to Onigashima, so I have to go back and check. Or if you actually do know, let me know down in the comments, as that would be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, I don't see much more happening in the chapter. I do know there's a lot that we need more information on, and a lot that needs to be flushed out, but I don't expect to get that in the upcoming chapter. Nami and Usopp will definitely be fighting Page 1 and Ulti again, but this time with Tama's help. We also need to see what's happening with Momonosuke and Yamato. Frankie was also taking on Sasaki, but as I mentioned, this isn't something I expect to get in this upcoming chapter. There's even other characters, such as Hawkins, who I think need to return into the fold. But honestly, that's probably a couple chapters away. But I guess that just about does it for this video. I could be talking complete nonsense and probably be very far off the mark. But I hope that this does put some things into perspective for some of the plot points that we do have in the story. Because honestly, I'm really excited for the next chapter. But as always, this is the part of the video where if you've liked anything I've had to say, please make sure you leave a thumbs up on the video and ensure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss out when I drop more content just like this. Safe.